It's okay. They don't need to see my face. They don't want to see my face.
We're here for Zach's voice, not his face.
Neither my voice. No. Corey gets record low the views on YouTube whenever I join him, which has been once.
Yeah, all one times.
All one time.
So no surprise at this point. Today I am being joined by the illustrious Zack of Neatcast fame, Effin' Cultured fame, podcasters assembled and disassembled fame. Where there is a podcast, there is a Zack.
Practically.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, for everybody I'm involved with. But I appreciate coming back to your podcast for the second time, where I had to beg, prod, and plead with you to get me back because I had to keep coming up with different excuses. Hey, you want to talk about this? You want to talk about this? Nah, man, I got someone else for all that. Shut up. Oh, wait.
Yeah, shut up, Zach. I don't need your opinion. Yeah, this time it was I kind of felt dumb because I guess obviously this episode sounds wild right now. I'm gonna do the intro here instead of adding one posthumously later. Yeah, so this is gonna be just like a Taquito kind of a chat. It's sort of a let's talk about, but more so a Taquito because it's like stream of thought. Mm-hmm. And Zack, I've wanted to have him on here for a while, but Monarch Season 2 isn't out yet.
And that's the
Zack
only thing I'm allowed to talk about with Corey.
That's it.
On his podcast.
There's nothing else.
No, everything else is Neatcast related, where Corey's been there about 34 times.
Yeah, it's almost Christmas, so I'm preparing. So... Yeah, everyone's been hype. I say everyone.
So
by that I mean at least two of us.
People. At least three somewhere. There's got to be someone else than you and me.
Brenda's mom.
Brenda's mom, friend of the pod. Thank you so much, Brenda's mom.
Yeah, she was very hyped about this. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So you, me, and Brenda's mom, and Zach was like, hey, why don't we actually record about Alien Earth? And my initial, maybe not response, but my initial thought was like, why would I do that? And then I was like, maybe I should remain current.
You were like, why would I want to record with Zach? I mean,
Zach,
the show
why
seems
would I
great,
do that?
But I don't want to. I'd rather
this is
record
great
with
content.
Brenda's mom.
Brenda's mom.
Get her up.
So yeah, this is we're gonna be talking about Alien Earth, which honestly I don't think a whole lot is gonna be edited. So this is probably gonna be released tomorrow. But we're recording on August 19th at the release of episode 3 and only the second week of the series. I was excited for this because aliens on Earth is just one of those like lore things. It was the original ad for Alien 3.
Quick question. Have you've done a fair amount of content, and I apologize for being stupid. Mm-hmm. It's my normal state. Have you talked about your involvement with the franchise overall yet on Twimby?
No, I don't think I've ever mentioned. Okay. Yeah. So a good starting point. My own involvement, for those who don't know, I grew up in a household where Dragon Ball Z was not cool. Like my mom wasn't really a big fan of me watching that because it was too violent. But
so
I could watch. One of my earliest childhood memories is watching Aliens, the sequel, which I would probably argue is even worse because it's far more violent. I guess no heads get ripped off.
No,
like Ash.
They each have their own approaches, which I think we'll get to on a future season of Podcasters Assemble. But movie 1 is definitive horror, which is it excels at. It does a great job. And 2 has elements of horror, but has become more of the action jump scare type of monster approach, which was still a very good film. I still love both of them.
Oh yeah, no, I'm in that seat of I prefer Alien over Aliens, but Aliens is still like top notch movie, and it makes me wonder. Now that you're talking about it, like, would that be the first action horror? Because it's a lot of action, but there's definitely still a lot of horror that'd be worth looking into.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but the Alien franchise, in the 2010s somewhere, I've seen the franchise a couple of times, on and off over the years, but I think it was in the teens for some reason. One day I was like, yeah, I'm just going to rewatch the entire franchise. And then about 2 years later, I was like, yeah, I'm just going to rewatch the entire franchise. And about every other year, I rewatch the entire Alien franchise. And as I mentioned to you in text, this excludes Predator or AVP. So it does include Prometheus because that is a prequel. But
In a way, yep.
Yeah, so but I'll go.
It's
like,
in this IP.
Yeah.
The standalone IP of the Xenomorph universe. Yes.
Yeah, and it's directly linked because you have Covenant, its sequel, which leads into later stuff. So yeah, I watch Alien 1 through 4, and then I'll go Prometheus, Covenant, and that's it so
now
far.
we got
right?
Romulus.
I'm missing some. Oh, Romulus, yeah, which I actually already watched. When did that come out? This year? Or last year? Last year, right?
Yes.
I think, yeah, it was last year. I rewatched that a couple of weeks ago because I just felt like seeing it again.
Yeah, it was last year. It was almost. It was a year ago, August 16th of 24.
Oh wow. Okay. So yeah, it'd been enough time. I'd been away from it long enough to rewatch it and be like, yeah, I still really enjoy this. You know what it was that made me watch this? There made me rewatch Romulus.
Oh yeah.
Hawk Girl is the chick.
Yes.
The like secondary chick in Romulus.
Yes.
And as soon as I learned that, I was like, she had the most fucked up of everyone's story.
Journey in that film. Yeah. As soon as I saw her, I went, I didn't think of Romulus right away. I thought of her from Last of Us Season 2. But after I looked it up, I went, oh yeah, that's right. She was. Oh yeah, she was given some bad. She was given a bad time.
Shit into the stick in that show.
Yep.
Yeah, so I had to rewatch that, but also out of excitement for Alien Earth releasing. So yeah, now we're finally here at Alien Earth, 3 episodes deep, so approximately 3 hours. So that's my familiarity. Alien is my favorite of all of them. As far as favorite films go, like within the horror genre, Alien is only second to The Thing, and we're talking like a hair's breadth difference. But I do just love John Carpenter's The Thing that tiny bit more.
I think Thing edges out Alien for a couple reasons, and it is minuscule, which I'll agree with you on. One, because it's more of a whodunit. Like you're really like trying to figure out shit as you're going through the movie. Alien, you still kind of are to a point, but you know that there's something big out there. Where is it going to come from? The Thing is, who is the Thing, and is there more than one of us currently as the Thing? Which, spoilers, at certain points of the films there are. Also, I think not necessarily the body horror, but the practical effects are very creepy in The Thing. Multiple times you see something go, oh no. Now, Alien does have some gruesome death scenes, which The Thing does as well, but the practical effects, I think, of The Thing, again, edges it just ahead of Alien, but Alien has done more and remained, I don't want to say more relevant, but they've just done more with it, for good or for worse.
Yeah.
The thing has had a prequel movie, which from what I remember was okay. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't like, oh, it's better than the original, because you're just not.
Yeah,
And then I think there was a video game.
I don't think I was aware that the video game existed until it just very recently re-released for Steam.
Ah, yes.
But I haven't heard anything horribly positive about it, so I haven't picked it up yet. I've also got tons of other games to play. There is also a Thing board game, which I missed out on the Kickstarter years ago. I need to see if it's just like out now. But but Alien, I've seen, I think at this point in my life, I've seen Alien more than The Thing.
Mm-hmm.
But, so it is one of those, that's why it's like hard for me to say which is my number one. It's a day of the week kind of thing, because I watch Alien every other year. I probably watch The Thing every other year as well. It's like January hits, February, and it's like, it's a good time to watch, space movies and winter movies.
And then, but anyway, you could argue it's a Christmas movie. There's snow.
Oh yeah. We don't know what time of year.
Family and friends together.
Exactly. They're all gathering, drinking together.
Staying warm around a fire. Exchanging presents, which happens to be alien DNA that clones itself over you, but that's fine.
It's the gift that keeps on giving.
It is. It's space herpes.
So, Zach, how about you? Because we've spoken about Predator,
yeah,
because of Podcasters Disassembled, but we've never spoken about Alien.
I guess we haven't. We did cover Alien in a Disassembled episode because you and I didn't. I think we had Mike from the Neatcast there for that, but it was because of Prey and Predator had come out, and then we figured, you know what? Eventually, we're gonna do a season, and we'll cover AVP in some capacity. So with Predator, if you're covering Predator, you have to cover Alien, because I think that's the better franchise overall. Predator's got some good films, but I prefer Alien. And I knew of this film at a young age because my mother always told me a story of when this was on broadcast TV for some reason back in like the mid to late 80s, whenever it was. Alien was on TV, and my dad woke my mom up from sleep because he didn't want to watch it alone because he was creeped out. So I remember hearing that story and be like, wow, I totally get this is a creepy movie to watch in the dark by yourself, but I don't know if I'd be waking Dana up going, I'm scared.
I have heard, like, it's wild how things have changed, how horror has changed. But I distinctly remember one of the, I don't think she was like, oh yeah, she was like the maintenance lady at the Target I worked at in Virginia. And she was telling me about Alien, the original, and just like going over what it was like to be there when it released in theaters. Like, just no one knew what it was about because all you have is just this vague
the
poster.
Trailer is incredible. The original trailer has no spoken dialogue. It is just that chilling alarm from the end of the film before Ripley leaves the Nostromo, and the original trailer is awesome. I think I had to find a different trailer when we talked about it on Disassembled so that you got some audio with it, but it was one of those, please go watch the original trailer because it's still awesome.
But yeah, just listening to someone's story of that time was all the more impactful. And maybe that's one of the subconscious things that like got rooted and made me want to go into watching the whole franchise every other year. But this is also when Prometheus and like Covenant were releasing as well. So they made themselves reappear in the zeitgeist. and then having to be like, okay, let me just rewatch the franchise to see where all this stuff connects. But so yeah, your parents were terrified of it, and that's always fun to hear. Your dad, yeah.
So I did watch it originally, probably like in the tween-ish era when you're not supposed to watch the R-rated films, Alien, Terminator, Predator, all of those. So I did watch Alien and Aliens, and then Alien 3 came out, which I forget what year that was, and we can talk about that.
I think I heard that it was the year before Jurassic Park, because I just watched a video on Alien 3. Yeah, it was 92.
Yep. Yeah. And I didn't see that one in theaters, but I did watch it later. I did see Resurrection in theaters. And I've loved the franchise ever since I watched it. And then obviously I love the Predator films, and I really enjoyed all the AVP games when the original AVP came out back in the early right about 2000, I think.
Yeah.
I played the shit out of that, and they've had a numerous recreations of the first-person shooter version here and there, which they are pretty decent overall. And then we all the way up to I did play through Aliens Colonial Marines, which retconned a lot of stuff from Alien 3, which made a lot of people upset. And then you and I are playing Fireteam Elite periodically when we have time. Which has overall I've enjoyed it. Follows kind of the Left 4 Dead, World War Z kind of style of going map to map, grinding out, getting your characters a little better. But you got different classes, and there's nothing like shooting bugs and making them explode.
Yeah, no, it is a lot of fun. I'm glad that we're playing that. So a lot of connectivity with the Alien franchise. Obviously, a lot of love for it. Now, Alien Earth, which just came out a week ago as of this recording, they did the double feature release. And this, so timeline-wise, this is between 1 and 2, right?
So, no, this happens of the official franchise. You take Prometheus and Alien Covenant are within the franchise, but some people negate those. This happens 2 years before Alien. So this is 2120. Alien is 2122, and then Romulus happens between Alien and Aliens, along with Isolation, which you've played through that video game, which is you've told me how good of a horror film that is. Or horror, it plays like a film.
Wait, yeah, it really does. It is like playing a movie, because you can't really escape it. Like no matter what you're doing, you can't escape the game itself. So I thought this was. I knew it was around the time of the first film, anyways. I forgot it was directly before it.
Just before it. Yeah, this is supposed to kind of... Because we know that in the Alien... Or we suspect, I should say, in the original Alien film, that Weyland-Yutani is aware of the xenomorphs because they receive the signal to go investigate the ship, and Ash is like, nah, we gotta do it. No, even though we're a mining vessel, we have to go check this out. And then we find out, oh, yeah, he had orders to go do this. So... We always suspected, but this kind of... I mean, this might not even be the first, instance that Weyland-Yutani is aware of the xenomorphs, but it would make sense because there is 5 different species that we find out in this season.
Yeah. So on the... Yeah, I guess we can cover the species in a second, because we do got to talk about this cast and some of the story. So right now... Alien Earth, hopefully you've watched the episodes up to this point. Actually their summary is when a mysterious space vessel crash lands on Earth, a young woman and a ragtag group of tactical soldiers make a fateful discovery that puts them face to face with the planet's greatest threat. Yeah, sure. Those are words.
They are.
We start off learning about the 3 different factions, which I forgot to go back and look up what they were, but it's humans, cyborg, or no,
Yep.
humans, cyborgs, and now Prodigy, which is
synthetics, human cyborgs, and the Prodigy, which is the shit. I can't think of it.
No one else knows what Prodigy is.
True.
But we know Prodigy to be putting human consciousness into a robot.
Yeah.
So they are not
hybrids.
Okay, hybrids. Yeah. If for those who are aware of anything other pop culture wise, this is basically like Motoko Kusanagi from Ghost in the Shell, where it is a human consciousness in a fully robotic body. In her case, she never knew what it was like to have a human body. And in this one, they are going out of their way to get sick children.
Yeah.
And I think that was a very interesting point because, one, they're getting kids who are definitely going to die, it seems.
Yeah.
They've got cancer or some type of something that's going to kill them. But the thought that came to mind in the first episode was they have to kill the body. We don't know how this process works, and they're not showing it, and I think that's intentional.
Yeah.
Because, like, you can't just erase the brain. So are they killing the children? Are there 2 of them alive in the same instance? Is the kid alive and the robot?
Schrodinger's hybrid.
Yeah, I mean, but in this case, there are 2 separate cats. And it's like, are both of these cats alive? And because that, I think, I kind of hope they allude to that at some point. Because I think that would be the nice, like, villain thing. Is like, oh yeah, like, you were still alive, but we killed you. Because there was no need for you to continue living because you are now a new you.
Yeah, your consciousness, for the most part, has been imprinted into a hard drive.
Yeah,
because it's not like they transplant the brain. Like it's just
they're just transplanting the mind, the thoughts, the memories, the data.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that I'm enjoying that bit of the story. There's a Peter Pan allegory going on. Main girl is Wendy, and there is that little bit of irony because Peter Pan was kind of a stand-in for death. Like, Peter Pan is supposed to be the Grim Reaper taking children. He was like a World War II allegory, I think, where he is supposed to be the agent of death, and he comes and he takes children away because they're dead. And the Island of Lost Boys are all of the other children who have died. So they go on an adventure, but they're all dead. So that I think is fun. Yeah, Peter Pan is not quite as happy as the Disney movie makes it out to be.
Damn you, Disney.
Yeah, but in this, it's very fun because it's kind of incidentally doing the same thing.
Well, you do have the boy genius, where he is physically an adult, but as we've seen through 3 episodes now, behaves childlike. Not to the point of the actual children that we have, or the adults portraying children eventually that we'll get to, but he is very childlike in his mannerisms, how he behaves, how he threatens, how he acts, how he reacts. So in a way, he is Peter Pan. He's playing that part and taking the kids and using them,
escorting them.
Yeah, for different end game from the Disney version.
Yeah. His character, my main comment on him so far is he's always wearing like Bill Cosby sweaters.
And he has no shoes on. He's constantly barefoot.
It's a clean building. I dig his character. Well, yeah.
He's got
maybe not
feet,
so much by episode 3.
Episode 3, he's got some dirty feet. Or definitely 2 when he's holding the phone, the video phone.
Oh,
feet.
yeah. That that's the boy genius thing is an interesting, because like he's got intelligence but no wisdom.
Yeah.
Is the like D&D thing. So
he's very, very intelligent, but he's got no street smarts.
Yeah. I dig his casting. I like his character because I don't like his character.
Yeah.
It's very easy. Yeah. Very easy to believe that he's kind of annoying. He is a very annoying person. He does a great job of pulling that off. He is Samuel Blanken, I think. Yeah.
Blanken.
God, he looks very different. What else has he been in?
He was in Harry Potter and the Cursed Child in the production of that.
Oh, that's...
he was in Peaky Blinders. That's where I've seen him. We're going through that right now.
He's in Mickey 17, which I haven't seen yet, so I'll have to look for him in that. I really want to see that. He played or voiced Avalach in Witcher Blood Origin, which I've seen. He's been on a couple of things. That's cool. So he has a pretty good career. Yeah, I dig him. He's like 8 years younger than I am.
God, he's a child compared to me.
He's a
Thanks, Corey.
little child.
He is Peter Pan.
He is. So casting, I'm digging everyone so far, and one of the things I mentioned right before we started this was I kind of wished I hadn't like pulled up any information, because we have the mother figure who is played by Essie Davis. Her name in the series,
Dame Sylvia.
Dame Sylvia. So Essie Davis is the mom in the Babadook.
I never saw the Babadook.
Man. It's very good, but it might be very frustrating. It was like, it's still one of my favorite horror films, but at the time it was one of those movies that gave me hope for horror and the storytelling in horror.
And then let you down.
Yeah, 2014. Man, that's wild. So, 11 years ago, she's the tired mom. I think it's kind of funny. I feel like she looks better in this series, like 11 years later, because in the Babadook, she is playing someone who's very tired and defeated. And in this one, she's very beautiful, and like I'm enjoying her character every time she's on screen. Like, she's trying to bring this level of peacefulness. She's truly believing in the process,
and she also plays counter to another guide to Wendy, who is our main hybrid that we start with. She starts human and then she transitions into being a hybrid. But Timothy Oliphant plays Kirsch, which, at first I was going, he is either human and has no emotion, or he is a synthetic. And then by the certain episode, we finally get our answer. And Dame Sylvia is representing the human element with the emotion, and Kirsch is more of the factual science approach of, well, this is what it is. How would you want to react? How should you react? This creature, this animal would react this way, but you're no longer human, so why would you act that way? But Dame Sylvia doesn't want Wendy to let go of that, even though she is completely machine at this point. She has a human consciousness, which Dame Sylvia is trying to develop and help guide through this process.
Yeah, that is a good, good catch, because I hadn't really considered them as opposite ends, but they definitely are.
You really get a sense for it, like with the first sit down after Wendy is transferred into the new body, and they're both acting as therapists with two completely different approaches, but they're in the same frickin' room talking to her, kind of contradicting each other to a point, but also working together, again, bringing different aspects in, which I think you kind of would, because with Wendy being a hybrid, you need that human element, but then you also need that synthetic approach as well, because yeah, you're a human, but you don't necessarily always have to, like, you don't have to have the same fears that you had before. You are far more capable now. There's more to you.
Yeah, I'm digging his character a lot. I had to look him up because I knew the face, but I couldn't remember the name.
He's been in a handful of things. He was in Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, and a bunch of other things. Whenever I see him in something, he's not always the main character, but he always plays a fun character.
Yeah, and I haven't seen him in The Mandalorian, but in looking it up, the two things that I've seen him in were the Hitman movie from, I think at this point, like over a decade ago.
Wow, that was a long time ago.
He is the Hitman, and he's also in The Crazies, and I'm pretty sure he's the lead character. And
The
that is
Crazies,
yeah, one of my favorite zombie movies, like
that is,
non-zombie movies.
Yeah, it's a zombie non-zombie movie. It's which was are you talking about the more recent remake that they did? Because there's the
2010.
Okay, yeah, because there was like a 70s version.
Yeah, I know that there is an older version. I just wasn't. I didn't want to say yes because I didn't know if there was also a newer version. But he's in the Crazies,
1973. Yep.
So his character is a lot of fun. It gives me some big. Okay, yeah, he's the main dude in that. Reminds me of David from Prometheus and Covenant, but he's not that insane.
Well, there's also a difference between,
at least not yet.
Yeah, well, David is a Weyland-Yutani synth. Ash was a Weyland-Yutani synth. So their programming is, even though they're a synth, it's like, all right, do you prefer Intel or AMD? They're both computers, but some will argue that one is better than the other for different reasons, or Macintosh Windows might be a better comparison. And Kirsch is a prodigy synth to our understanding because of his position in the company. So even though Bishop from Alien seems to be the one android synth that wasn't a complete a-hole in the franchise so far, Kirsch is a different synth, which I like, because we've only ever gotten humans and synth in the Alien franchise. We haven't really done anything with cyborgs. We did really nothing with them.
Yeah, and we live in a world where that's clearly a thing. On one hand, that's not really explored well, but on the other, it's like, if they don't really want to explore it a lot, then so be it. Because I would rather them not ruin that. I'm enjoying this guy so far because Babu
Sisay.
Yeah, I'm looking right now to see if I've ever seen anything he's been in, and like I think he's Rogue One, but I don't know that he played a big character. I've never seen anything else that he's been in. But I am enjoying him.
He was
in an episode.
I know him from Into the Badlands. That was a show that Dana and I really enjoyed.
Yeah,
and he had a reoccurring role. He was in 16 episodes.
Okay, I've probably seen him in the commercials for that, but that was one of those that I was going to wait for it to end and then maybe go back to it because I didn't care for the trailers. But as far as this role, I really like him because there is an implication that he is the reason why everyone died on the ship. Like, it's really hard to tell in episode 1, because it doesn't seem like everyone seems to hate him because he's a cyborg. And he's another one where I was wondering, is he a cyborg or is he a robot?
A synth. Yeah.
A synth. Because he was getting the same treatment as Bishop was
Yeah.
in Aliens. But so I was kind of confused because I was like, I thought he just woke up with everyone, but maybe that was also like just a role so that he seemed more human.
Doesn't Bishop wake up with everybody?
Oh, he does. Yeah. Now that you mention it.
So I mean, it does. I mean, yeah, okay, they could keep running, but all you're doing is using energy, I guess. To have someone be a synth be awake operating. I don't know what their life expectancy is. There is another character that they I don't know if they necessarily allude to, but they make it seem like he might have been a synth of some sort. Chang was the one of the guys that was like watching over one of the original people on the Deep Space show.
Oh, was he
Maginot, from Weyland-Yutani?
Yeah, was he the guy who was like staring at the girl? Yeah.
So which goes along with their synths being fucking weird and doing weird shit.
They find weird things to get hooked onto. Mm-hmm. So Morrow, it was definitely one. I was confused at first in a good way, but confused. Like, is he human? Like, what's going on here? Is he full synth? But he's cyborg. So we're finally getting cyborgs. He's got a lot of tech.
Yeah,
a lot of tech going on.
Built into one arm.
Yeah,
and then we saw in the third episode, he was able to upload stuff. Which I mean, I guess he's got other things beyond his arm, but he's got enhanced abilities because he does stuff with his human-looking arm that makes it look like, oh, this guy's super strong, not just with his one robot arm.
Yeah. Well, in episode also 3, he leaps like into the void and he has a light limp. So that makes me think that maybe one leg is cybernetic and the other one is not. Because I think the limp is on the right side. So his left half might be cybernetic.
Maybe.
And it's the right half. Because when they showed him again, I was like, he either whole lower body is, robotic, or maybe part of it. But like, if he's totally human down there and leapt off of that, then like they're totally missing out on the fact that, this was a big leap. We don't see what the depth is, but
no,
not even kind
Wendy
of a weird
jumped
thing.
off.
Yeah, not even Wendy jumped off. So it's like there must have been something daunting about it. But Morrow leaps. I mean, he kind of had to. He was getting cornered.
Yeah, no real choice.
Yeah,
he's human. And well, do you want to keep going through the cast? We keep jumping into parts of the episodes. How do you want to handle this?
We can go through, I guess, more of the story, because we'll end up getting talking about the children and stuff through the story as well, if that's what you were alluding to.
Yeah, whatever you want to do. I'm just here to Taquito.
Yeah. So episode 1, it opens very similar to Alien, kind of a direct homage.
I liked that because one, it was a direct, hey, this is what you're getting with this part of it, and in an homage setting. And even some of it was very similar shot for shot of like the crew waking up, sitting down for dinner, the tech, the future tech that is very outdated by our standards today. The fact that they can't travel light speed in these ships. I don't know if light speed even exists. I'd have to go and actually search for that because everyone's always in a cryo tube. So it's like, so you sign up for this and you're gone. And then you'll never see your family again. It's like, all right, cool, I'm off on a 70-year mission. good luck in college. See you never. You know.
Yeah.
But I think it instantly gave me Alien vibes, and I loved that part of it.
I was taken aback at first because it was so much like Alien, but it's on fast forward.
Yeah. It's also we're in the same timeline. We're in like 2 years prior to Alien.
Yeah.
In a similar ship.
It was so quick because we see the helmet, the computer boots up, and it takes everything about the intro. It's like the first 15 minutes or so, 10 to 15 minutes of Alien, and manages to put it into like 5, if even that long. But it was so quick, and that kind of upset me at first because I was like, dude, you're doing Alien wrong. But through the rest of that and like episode 2, it's like, okay, they're just doing it as an ode. They're not trying to copy it.
No.
So it's like, all right, I think that's respectful.
And I would have, for me, I would have, and maybe they will get to it. Maybe it is part of the structure. See a little bit more of what went wrong on the Maginot. But, I mean, if they don't, we know shit went wrong. And Morrow acted very questionably. He directly resulted in at least one crew member dying. Probably more. But it was all, crunched down to 5 minutes, and I would have liked to see a little bit more of what may have happened, but also that would have potentially taken away the scare and the spook and the surprises of what happens on Earth with not just the xenomorph, which we know, but the other alien creatures that we have there on this ship, which we kind of were teased in trailers, if you and little things that were released early, which I tried to avoid because I wanted all of this to be a nice, fun surprise.
Yeah, I only saw it was like 15 or 20-second clips, so yeah, I was able to avoid everything about this. So yeah, episode 1, we get on the ship, we get Alien, we get quick flash. Wasn't it like as people were going to sleep or their last few moments of being awake, they do the quick still flash forwards of what happens?
They woke everybody up because they're 4 months from Earth, but they're burning fuel. They need to check everything, make sure everybody's okay. And then they're going to go back to sleep. I don't know if it's going to be for the next 4 months or what it is, but they go back to sleep, and then you get the quick synopsis of the crew pretty much being killed in horrible ways.
They'll show someone's face and then do quick flash forwards of what's about to happen to them.
Yep.
Which I thought was very fun. And I know one of the complaints that I've seen is that people want to know more of what happened. They want to know more of what happened in that time frame, and I'm like, I kind of don't care, because it's like, why can't it always goes wrong. That's the whole point of Alien. Go watch one of 6 other films,
Hubris,
and you'll figure it out. Yeah, you'll figure it out. So for me, I don't need to see it. If they show it, that's whatever. But we're still learning a bit more. But yeah, crashes into.
I would have liked to just learn a little bit more about the characters. I felt attached to them.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Still, even if I didn't see the whole breakdown of everything that went wrong, still a little bit more. I liked the characters from what I saw in that 5 to 8 minutes.
Yeah, they're fun. If they are going for the Alien thing, I think they kind of nailed it because you have the estranged mechanics. Mm-hmm. You have the different groups of people on the ship, which
different
are very similar.
Almost, yeah.
Yeah, and that would probably be the only reason why I wouldn't want to see anything more. Is they're kind of letting you know, if you've seen the first film, this is why you should care about these people. If not, we're just moving on. Like, you've had your time to see a movie that came out in 1979. So, that is a very fun opening. We crash in New Siam, which happens to be owned by Prodigy.
Mm-hmm. We've got a Weyland-Yutani ship, that crashed in somebody else's yard, which Kirsch makes a great analogy for it in the third episode of, your baseball landed in my yard. This is now mine. It's like, well, I mean, he's not wrong. I guess
very much. Oh my God, Sandlot.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's like the plot of Sandlot, just with aliens now.
Hey, there's kids in Sandlot. There's a fence. There's a ball.
Yeah,
sure.
It kind of matches. That's why I thought of the Sandlot.
As soon as space.
So. Yeah, it lands there, and we get introduced to some dude who happens to be hanging out with Marines.
Yeah, he's just there. Just a guy.
Just some guy. Though I think before we actually see him, we hear Wendy talk about him, because I think she says he's a doctor, but not a doctor.
She's watching him now that she has been transferred into her hybrid body. She's able to use the camera feed, and just wherever there is a camera, she can watch her brother. So she's keeping an eye on him because she had to go away, and he's her last family member, and she misses him and wants to protect him and keep up on what's happening.
Yeah, which is fun. It also gives us the cursed image that Phil from the Wait For It podcast keeps shoving into my face, that fade where it has both Wendy and the stupid guy from Ice Age.
Yeah, the sloth.
In the same still. And
when you do present that, it is funny. This is
out of context,
unedited still from Alien Earth, and you go, huh? But
that is in the franchise.
It does make sense when you're watching it that, okay, Ice Age is part of the Alien franchise. Peter Pan, so Disney is a thing here as well. So we've got two major animation studios that are part of the Xenomorph franchise now.
Disney Plus will exist in the 2100s. So
Hulu is owned by Disney Plus. So you know what?
Yeah. I actually watched episode 3 through Disney Plus because Disney Plus is already on my PS5, so I could do that with my headphones on so that I didn't spoil it for Brenda. Yeah, so we meet the brother, and we meet the Marines, or at least their version of Marines, because they are a
response team, yes, which after this ship crashes in New Siam and the rescue team mobilizes, they go into a spaceship with guns. One medic to every 10 Marines, which I know when our military is deployed, you do have soldiers, you do have some that are armed there. But they go rushing into this ship as a rescue mission, but also guns drawn, which is, I know why you have to have the guns, because it fits with what's going to happen later, but it was a different approach to a rescue team than what I expected.
That is why I'm confused, because even in the script, they are constantly reminding each other that they're mostly reminding Hermit, the brother, that they are just there for recon and search and rescue.
Yeah, they keep yelling "search and rescue" over and over again.
Yeah, they yell that, and then
with their guns.
Well, then they'll tell him "Oh, we're only here for search and rescue. This is above our pay grade." When they go into the ship, it's "Oh, we're just here for search and rescue. We don't need to be doing this." And it's why do you? That is a bit confusing, because when we see them, it feels like the intro to Aliens when we meet the Marines, because everyone's working out and they all hate Hermit because he's just the medic who's weaker than the rest of them. And he's not a bro.
Do you even lift?
Yeah.
You're busy patching up the holes in my body. God.
He doesn't lift.
So weak.
But, yeah, whatever. It seems like a little bit of an oversight, but maybe in an area like that, search and rescue does have to be a little more armed. Maybe because it's Weyland-Yutani, they don't know
what to expect. They know that Weyland-Yutani uses other synths, other, who knows if it is military, if they're just there, and the security of Weyland-Yutani is going to open fire back. I mean, it's not a major plot device, but it was one of those that stuck out of, okay, search and rescue.
Yeah,
with my gun.
Yeah, I'm gonna rescue you with my gun. So it's whatever. They go into the building, shit goes down, and Wendy, at the same time this is happening, Wendy's like, I really want to go help my brother.
Which at this point Wendy now has the Lost Boys, which are other terminally ill kids that made the transfer from their dying bodies. Some with cancer, some that was a paraplegic. Different things are wrong with them, and they transition into these synthetic bodies. And Boy Cavalier, the boy genius, says, kids can make the journey because your minds aren't stiff like the adults. So the adult mind can't transition from a human body to a synth body, but the kids are, which I don't know how truthful that is. I think there's a bit of it that is also, if we get the kids in there, I can manipulate and indoctrinate them to do what I want them to do on my behalf. Which we see a couple times during the series, that the kids are very impressionable and very easy to manipulate.
They are that. I think because we see it kind of at this point and throughout the remainder of episodes 2 and 3, but I am enjoying how childlike they are.
Yes, they do a great job.
Yeah, they're so far. I think the only one that I don't like, that's not convincing, is Curly, which is the kind of, I don't know what I would say. Like, would she be Pacific Island or maybe even like Native?
She's
American,
the one that goes to talk to Boy Cavalier in
episode 3. She basically does not exist until episode 3.
Yeah,
I kind of forgot she was there.
Yeah, like each of the synthetic or the hybrids had something to do. Wendy, obviously is there to find her brother with a sword. Another weird thing.
Not just a sword. It's the paper cutter, like the industrial. Because she rips it off, and I'm like, she ripped it off, threw it on her back, and I was like, I have a lot of questions, but really the main one in this series of events is, why is her back magnetic?
Well, she is a synth.
What a weird, maybe they were like, they got to be able to carry a katana.
Yeah,
but
she walks by an office desk, and all of your paper clips and your stapler go flying off and just stick to her. God damn it, Wendy.
Yeah. Like, go away. Get out of here.
Her,
I don't believe her quite as much. The second one that I believe the least, we'll see, because he's still in the interim, but it's Toodles, played by Kit Young. This guy was in Shadow and Bone, so I'm very familiar with him. I've seen all 16 episodes of that. But he's the smart one of the bunch, the science-y one.
Yep.
And he seems to be like, my pass so far is maybe he's just the listener. Like, he is intelligent, but he's just shutting up and listening.
Mm-hmm.
But what's the other girl? Like,
Nibs.
Nibs.
The redhead is Nibs.
Yeah. So Nibs, not my favorite, but she's the beginning of my favorites because I love the dumb expression on her face the entire time. Her mouth is always slightly open,
slightly
like
ajar.
She's a mouth breather. Yeah. And she never says anything. Lily Newmark is who plays her. And it's so funny because, like, looking at photos of her, she's very beautiful, but man, do they make her look like an idiot. And it's good because she's one of the few who really feels like a child. And the favorite two are obviously the two boys, Shmee, and Slightly.
Yep.
Played by Jonathan Ajayi and Adarsh Gaurav, respectively. I really enjoy them being on screen because if you're going to do this, they are the ones who are the most believable from moment one.
Yeah, they're the two acting as bro.
Yeah, bro.
They are just two adolescent boys in the 9 to 12-year-old range, which is where all these kids are, in adult bodies. And the adult actors are you can have adult actors trying to be children and they can suck at it. I think for the most part they're doing a good job. And with Nibs, I think part of her thing that we'll get to in episode 2 is I think she's got a little PTSD because as we explore the ship, they encounter some shit. And even though they are hybrids in a synthetic body, they still have the minds of kids.
Yeah.
That they have fear. They joke around. They can't be serious. They can be manipulated. Other than when emergency protocols kick in, like we see with Wendy, or we don't see with Wendy, but they do kick in some capacity. So I think her character is struggling with some shit right now. Which I attribute to also her walking around with an open mouth the entire time because her brain is just on a cycle right now of what happened to her in episode 2.
Yeah, I dig her character. She is believable as a child that doesn't know what to do, that's going through some shit. We don't know their backstories. We don't know how good or bad of a life they lived before this. So we don't know what Nibs has seen prior to the ship. So I think the kids are doing a great job of being kids. In episode Wendy, if there's a pass for Wendy not being super childish, it's that we don't know how long she's been in this body, but it's been some time.
Yeah. And she was also prepped much better than the other kids. The other kids, at least how it's explained, they show up and they are quickly transferred. Whereas Macy, right, was her original name before it was Wendy. Macy was a terminally ill child, was working with Kirsch and Dame Sylvia on making the journey, and clearly has developed a bit more, had time to develop more than these kids that are brand spanking new.
Yeah, and who got thrown into a very weird scenario kind of quickly, which I think is another good sign of how childish Cavalier is, Prodigy. Because he's just willing to let these go there. Yeah, go ahead.
So two quick things on the first episode, I think, before we transition into episode 2. One, I like, and I'm going to go with this as in my headcanon, that in episode 1, they answered a 40-year-old question of how did Ash get into the mother room while Ripley was talking to Mother? And we see that there is a panic pod or a panic room in Mother while Morrow is communicating. And then he calls for that, disappears into the floor right before the crash. In Alien, when Ripley is discovering the true nature of what's going on and why they needed to pick up these eggs and bring these alien things back, Ash appears from nowhere. The door doesn't open. He doesn't hit a button. Like, he's just there. And it was one of those things I didn't necessarily think about until later on, and it was pointed out of, oh yeah, hey, that panic room there. Oh shit. Yeah. He did kind of come out of nowhere, didn't he? That sly son of a bitch.
Yeah. And that I like that whole sequence is great too. Because he seems to have accepted that his crew's dead. It doesn't seem like he's vindictive. He's just like, this is real life.
Following orders. Yeah.
Yeah. This, like, I can't do anything for him. With the exception of letting that girl who was knocking on the door die. But
I mean, he could have let her in, but I mean, also there's only room in the panic room for one person.
And if he let her in, there would be that one less thing to stop.
Yeah, to give him the time
from
that he
getting
needed.
to him. Yeah,
Yep.
That's the only reason he was able to make it in there. So yeah, episode 1 is fun. It's explorative. I think most of the cool stuff happens in the beginning.
We saw space sticks.
Yeah, and
That was awful.
Wasn't that episode 2?
Well, we saw
see what
them
they do.
in. Yeah, exactly. We saw what they started. Well, you kind of saw the first one attached to the guy's neck, and then the second one attached to the other guy's chest, and then you saw what actually happened in episode 2 when the kids discover him.
Yeah.
But we went, oh, so that's what these ones do. They attach to you. Oh no.
So those, the creatures are very fun. We get a lot more of the creatures in 2 as everyone is exploring the ship. As Prodigy's group is exploring the ship.
Yeah,
not even at this point, like the military or whoever they're supposed to be aren't even a part of this anymore. It's just Prodigy's people because the military have been killed at this point.
For the most part. Hermit and his 2 soldiers, who actually do seem to like him, even though they give him a ton of shit, are still exploring the ship, and then they get out of the ship, and then this is where everybody gets separated. And Hermit gets separated from the soldiers because the xenomorph begins to stalk him for reasons we don't know. The xenomorph seems to be murdering everybody. It survived the crash, and it's stalking Hermit. And he escapes and gets on an elevator where Wendy discovers him, and she goes, "Oh, he's on the 65th floor, so that's where I'm going." And Kirsch sends, what was it, Slightly? Yeah, Slightly with her, and then Kirsch is the one that takes the other kids, and then they start finding that fauna plant that that's guessing
just dangling.
Yeah, it's just a dangler. I'm guessing that's the one, because we see a number of different gruesome deaths. We know somebody was impregnated with a facehugger, hence there is a xenomorph which came out of a cryotube. We know that somebody in the medic bay asphyxiated through some sort of poison or something, which I suspect was that plant thing, because it looks like it would inject something into you and maybe cause you to die that way. Another person was killed. They were opened up, so I don't know if there was another xenomorph in that body, but something did come out of that body.
It would be worth rewatching because I was a little confused. Number one, I thought there were multiple Xenos. Because episode
1.
Well, episode 2 has so many shots of the Xeno in the background. Because that's the one where there's something when they're looking at the dead crew. There's something in the light above because there's crud up there, and then something moves. Episode 2 had so many things moving in the background scenes. And several times it's the xenomorph. And one of the times, I mean, it's like the full body of the xenomorph was directly next to people, and then they walk away, and like the xenomorph gets down, and you can see it, you know, that its whole body was in the screen. The head was just out of frame.
Yep.
Like behind something. So it had, I thought there were more, because it's like, why would one constantly be in the background of like every scene that we're watching? It could have been,
I mean, that happened in Alien, in the original film. Like, it wasn't in every scene, but it would be there with some of the scenes, and you wouldn't realize it. And then you know, all of a sudden, oh, there it is. Neat.
Yeah. So, yeah, we get to see all these different deaths. We get introduced to these creatures. Like, the one that I'm the most excited for is the eyeball.
Yeah,
the ball of eyes.
Yeah, oh God, which one is that? I forget what that one is called. But that's the one that attacks Nibs, which is giving her the PTSD, which it's one of those things where clearly it doesn't know that, well, maybe it could control it. We don't know. It can jump. It appears to jump into people's brains, uses its, eye to look around, but controls the host of what it needs it to do, because it's inside a cat when we first see it controlling something. But we also get like short snippets of it during the crash leading up to it, of like jumping into somebody's head. And I know there is a teaser of it being in another animal coming up, so we know that it does get into another animal at some point. But that tries to attack Nibs, and they're able to capture it. But I wonder if it could control a synth. Would it be able to?
Yeah, that'll be interesting to learn, because that one I think is the most terrifying that we're going to get out of this. Like, we already know xenomorphs, facehuggers, the ticks, it's gruesome, but whatever. They just do what ticks normally do to just a much greater degree. The plant will be interesting, because that's it's done nothing. Even in episode 3 they show it again in a canister, and it's still just a plant, still dangling there.
And I think part of it is some of the creatures know whether you are able to be attacked or subdued or whatever, because like with the at one point Morrow says, oh, they can sense your fear, which I think has come up in the past. Like Newt alluded to it or something, and you see the eggs react to Morrow when it doesn't react to the synth, but also at one point the xenomorph does not attack Morrow, and he goes from like stone cold with the xeno there in this episode to then like turning around and seeing the carnage, and then his emotion like kicks in. I wonder if he was able to just turn that off, because he knows, oh, it can smell fear, and if I don't react to it, it won't want to kill me. Which
I thought was very fun, because we don't know how much of him is human or not. So maybe it was just enough, like he was able to calm himself to where it's like only the robotic parts are functioning, or whatever. But I thought that was fun, because like, okay, enough of him, he can hide, because we know the xenomorphs don't really care about synths. They will go after them if they're interfering, if it's kind of like a direct thing, but they're not there to hunt them down.
At least from what we can see in the movie, but you also have seen that synths have been torn apart, like in Aliens, Romulus, and here and there. It depends on the situation. So maybe it was one of those of, you're not worth my time, because there were more humans. Which right before this, we found Hermit had made it up the elevator, ran into one of his soldier buddies, asked about, hey, have you seen this crazy big ass creature? And the guy's like, no, it's not like a big animal or anything. And then it comes out of the background from the statue. Brilliant. How again it's hidden in plain sight. Bites the guy's head off practically.
It's so good.
And then goes to ruin a future orgy.
I was getting a bit worried that this was not going to be super violent, because even when it kills that guy, it kind of kills him off screen, but they do show like a straight up headshot, and I was like, oh, okay, like they're probably just hiding the kill because of budget, but they're showing the emaciated skull, the crushed skull.
Yeah. Which is easier to show, a practical effect dummy with the part of his head missing, which then we find out, the entire party was decimated. Hermit goes in there, is about to be killed by the xenomorph, but then Morrow shows up and stuns it with whatever gun, stuns Hermit, and then also goozes all over the xenomorph with a containment sack, and then just picks up the xenomorph with I'm pretty sure his human hand. He's just like, I'm just gonna pick this up and drag it. That's a 12-foot tall creature. That thing is several hundred pounds, if not maybe 1,000 pounds. He's definitely strong.
Yeah. So let's see. 2, we get the ruined orgy. 2 is kind of like, for as much as is still happening, it's kind of slow, but that is the one where we do see the alien stalking Hermit. I'm wondering if it's because he's just weaker, but
we'll get into that for the third episode of why was it stalking him, because Wendy and Slightly come in, they find Hermit. The xenomorph took off, went a different direction after it escaped and murdered a bunch of rescue response team soldiers, which apparently their guns do nothing, or they're just all red shirts or stormtroopers and can't hit anything. So then Wendy, Hermit figures out that Wendy and Slightly are like, yeah, you're synthetic. You're not human. Okay, yeah, I guess I'll go with you back down to the ship. Yeah, you're rescuing people. And then they didn't keep us in suspense too long of whether Hermit would find out if Wendy was Macy, because Slightly, just like a child, ruins everything and tells Hermit that, hey, this is your sister. And Hermit doesn't believe it at first, but then asks the correct questions that only his sister would know, and goes, oh my God, it is you. So it is kind of it is a nice reunion that I don't think they needed to stretch out. I think maybe they could have, but I think it was perfectly fine how they just, all right, that's dealt with now. It gives their connection. It gives them to care about each other for episode 3, because we find, was it 6 eggs, I believe, just kind of hanging out, not in containment. So how they got out of containment and survived the crash, and they're just hanging out there without a queen around that we know of, and then they get down there, and Hermit is abducted by the xenomorph, which we also get the return of that fun blue laser misty thing, which
it's in so many scenes in so many movies,
and to my knowledge, I think that was originally supposed to be explained officially in Alien 3, but they cut it, and it was supposed to be an alarm system. Whose alarm, I don't know, but it is meant to keep the mist from going beyond it, and I believe Ridley Scott originally wanted to have a membrane covering the eggs to protect them, but due to budget reasons, they're like, we can't get a membrane for our original crew to cut through an alien, so here's a misty laser for him to stick his hand and stuff through. because as soon as Hermit does that, the xenomorph reacts. Like, it was slowly stalking until Hermit was there. Now, whether that was the alarm system that alerted the xenomorph because it was Weyland-Yutani and the xenomorph heard it and responded, or it's because the facehuggers went, oh, there's a human here, and the xenomorph showed up to abscond with him, which the only reason I could think of was, well, if he's got a facehugger on him, but then there's other entities around, maybe, this facehugger won't be able to let the chest burster mature because the other people will somehow get involved, so I need to take this human away. And that's how we end episode 2.
Yeah. And it does just leap out with him. And that was such a surprising end, because he leaps out and the show ends. And I'm just like, what is going on here? Like, I'm in the middle of watching this and you're just ending it.
Yeah. I'm very much enjoying the songs every time that they end, though. They're
This one was Metallica at the end of 3?
3 was Wherever I May Roam. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, the music background, the actual Foley, but then also the background music has been good because they are sampling a lot of original stuff, but there is newer stuff, or they're like altering it a little bit. I'm fine with it. 2's not a bad episode. It's just slower. It's slower until it's not. But I feel like
I'm fine with development.
Yeah.
I'm
I
okay
feel
with
like
that.
2 is almost a weird one to talk about because it's like both nothing and everything happens. It's like there's very little, but then people are dying left and right. But I enjoyed it because, you are still learning more about people. But moving on to 3, there's like a couple of things that I don't like about 3. Nothing really stand out, but 3 is the best one, even more so for character development, because now I feel like we're getting diversion. I don't know. We're learning a lot more about Morrow.
Mm-hmm.
Because he just seems crazier every time, and like this episode I like him even more than the previous 2. We also, oh my god, Kirsch, right? Yeah Kirsch,
he has a standoff with Morrow.
he has a standoff with Morrow, and the way that he interacted with Boy Cavalier when the facehugger was like kind of peeking out.
When they get all the specimens back.
Yeah, when they're back inside, I really like. So this episode I think was really good for him.
We
good
see
for
a shift.
Morrow.
We see a shift in tone. I mean, we see more of like what Boy Cavalier really wanted, because we actually see Yutani. She is portrayed, I think, in episode 2, in her conversation with, between her and Boy Cavalier, and he pretty much goes, "Yeah, no, this is my city; it's now mine. You cannot send somebody in here. Have your lawyers talk to my lawyers." And then it's like, all right. So first we were trying to see the capacity of the hybrids. It is kind of a rescue mission. Now we need to see what Yutani is up to. So I want you to get all this stuff, and then it was, all right, forget all the humans, get me all these specimens, get me all these things that you found, Kirsch, which Kirsch, being a synth, then also looks at him and be like, that seems like not a smart idea. He's like, no, do it anyways, bring all this stuff to me. Okay.
So I was wondering, because it's like we're on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And we know how quickly aliens spread, but in this universe, I guess they're just extremely delayed. Like, things are just not working out for the aliens, But now
they
that
got to
they're
find a way to
going,
get off planet. They spread real quickly on a planet, but they don't. Xenomorphs don't have the capacity to or capabilities to build a ship and then travel.
yeah. So I like that we end up on an island. But before that, we do get the dope fight between Wendy and the Xeno. And we don't get to see the epic kill. We don't get to see a whole lot.
No, so Wendy tracks. So something I don't think we touched on. We know that Boy Cavalier chose Wendy as the leader because Wendy is special. We don't know exactly how special, but she is special. We know that she can go use the cameras to track her brother, that she's able to have these other abilities. We learn in the first episode going into second episodes that she can hear things. She hears clicking. She can, and which we find out is the xenomorph communicating, or different, at least aliens communicating in some capacity, but definitely the xenomorphs and the facehuggers. And so she tracks Hermit down a few levels where the xenomorph has him half cocooned in a trailer, and so
to draw her, it seems.
Exactly. So then it becomes, all right, what does the xenomorph suspect or know about Wendy that makes it go, oh, I have to get her away from the eggs. I have to get her alone so that I can get to her. And instead of charging at her down the trailer, because she is trapped with Hermit, it jumps on top where she stabs it. And then Hermit and Wendy learn, oh, it's got acid for blood because it melts through. It doesn't melt her paper cutter, but it melts the entire fucking trailer.
That scene I did not like because he gets acid on him and like very casual. It's like he's already taking the jacket off before it even gets on him. And it's like, man, the acid dripping on people does so much damage.
I mean,
in
Hicks
other
got
movies.
Fucked. By
like,
the end of Aliens.
But everyone, it's always such a big deal because it just goes straight through everything, especially fabric.
Mm-hmm.
That was the only thing I didn't like. Is like, how did you survive the acid? Because you kind of, it did in that moment, it kind of discounted. It made the aliens less ferocious. Because it didn't seem like that big of a deal. But anyways, beyond that, her return and like spiking the little mouth with the hook and dragging the Xeno was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. Hermit got impaled. I've been waiting.
Oh yeah, they did very quickly. Yeah,
because
it's like he gets impaled and thrown out.
Yeah, it was one of those of episode 2. He had the plot armor after the 17th century orgy that he survived. Not the orgy, but the xenomorph attack. And then here he got impaled where it looks like he has a punctured lung. And then Wendy shows back up and gets dragged into. They try to contain it, and then they get into a fight behind closed doors, and we see that Wendy has dispatched the xenomorph by cutting off its head, and the acid has kind of burned the concrete, I guess. So I guess the concrete's going to be better at fighting the acid, and Wendy is damaged, but we don't know to what extent. And I would have expected to see a bit more with how deadly they have made the Xeno that has been taking out groups of armed military. Even if the military doesn't know what it is, they should be trained to shoot things correctly. But also stormtroopers. I expected her to at least have some torn clothing, maybe she's leaking some of that synthetic blinker fluid that does come out of her head more than what happened. But maybe it's one of those, I don't know, Kill Bill instances where something unlocked and she just went into extreme defense mode and then all of a sudden just reacted with I don't know. there's clearly something about Wendy, in
Yeah.
that she's better than the average synthetic and human.
Yeah, he definitely put more into her, because even that conversation with the other girl where he said, you're in the running for being my favorite, I feel like everyone knows that he's lying.
Wendy has the power of ultra instinct, is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, she does. There is definitely something different about her. Yeah, episode 3, a lot of good character stuff. We finally get a lot more. We get... this is the first time that we see the thing that facehuggers implant, isn't it?
Yeah, well, yes. We kind of had teases
know that
to
they
that.
plant stuff.
Yeah, so we've always gone with the idea that in movies and in the Dark Horse comic series of aliens, that they had the entire toy line that depending on what is impregnated by a facehugger, that xenomorph takes on certain characteristics of that creature, and that's why in Alien 3 you have I think the runner,
The dog or ox, like whatever it's...
depending on which version you watch.
Yeah.
My version, I think my original viewing was a dog, and that's why it was
that's the theatrical.
Usually, more on all fours running around than like the humanoid one. So when Kirsch gets all these aliens back after he has his stare down with Morrow, who figures out these synthetics act like they're having kids, because he finds Slightly and what's the other guy, Curly's the girl. It's Shmee. So Slightly and Shmee at the eggs, at the omelet, as Wendy calls it, and then he downloads all of the ship's knowledge, deletes it, and then plants something on Slightly before he jumps, and then Kirsch and everybody they round up the specimens per Boy Cavalier, brings them all back, and then while Kirsch is dissecting a facehugger, Wendy is hearing the cries and the screams, but we see a tiny little xenomorph, little tadpole that they take a lung out of Hermit, that they're operating on him. They hook the lung up so it's alive and breathing, and then they drop a xenomorph in there and see what it does, and it pops into
right
a lung.
On in,
right on in. So I'm guessing. I hope they don't put that lung back in Hermit, 'cause that's gonna suck. But I'm guessing this is how they're gonna be testing and making little Xenos here and there, because we do see in, was it Romulus or I forget if it was Resurrection, one of them, they were able to skip the facehugger egg process, and they were able to just get little Xenos running around.
Well, that was in Covenant, where he hatches a tiny, full-grown, fully formed Xeno, because David was creating life at this point, and that's the one where it comes out and it's doing the mummy hands to the chest thing.
Those were not the full-on Xeno. We get one later that does do the facehugger to one of the other humans. It comes out of the egg. That is more reminiscent of the typical Xeno.
Yeah, it was a fully formed Xeno coming out of the guy's body, not out of the egg.
Yeah, but they did have those two other ones that were creepier versions that David had created from scratch. I swear the company had at one point they were able to just skip the facehugger, but you get a little tadpole swimming around that is going to take on, because there's going to be more Xenos, because shit has to go bad in Neverland Ranch. It always does.
Yeah. So one of the other characters we've covered, really the main stories of episodes 1 through 3. Side character that got a lot weirder in episode 3. What do you think about the dude spraying shit on Prodigy Island?
Yeah, I was thinking that, especially where Wendy walks by him on her way to figure out what is clickety clacking and trilling, as Kirsch is, you know, doing shit, to the facehugger. We've seen them at least once an episode spraying shit outside of a door on a wall.
It seems like it's always the same, just one dude, and it always seems like it's the same wall. But in the scene that you're talking about, there's one part. Yeah. Well, not multiple, because it's only ever one. Like, it seems like she walks by him in that spot, and then they show that spot empty, like in the same scene, and then she walks into the room that has like water on either side, and the dude's on the back wall spraying that room down. So like he was there in the regular hall. I think it was that he was not there, and then he was there, and then he was not there, and then he was in another room.
Yeah, there's one dude that I've seen, but there's multiple like spray areas in that hallway.
Yeah.
Where she saw him on the right-hand side. You're like, oh yeah, that's where he was spraying. And then further down the hallway on the opposite side, it's like, oh, there's also a dark space there that looks like he was spraying. Oh, and maybe there was a third one even further that was a little bit more in the dark. So yeah, he's been spraying multiple places, I don't know if they're doors or what they are, but yeah, he's definitely,
they look like openings.
We saw his face now as he's just kind of sitting there smoking without his mask on. It's safe.
Yeah, I'm real interested in if that's going to be something important later, because I maybe not that character, but what that character is doing.
Chekhov's weed sprayer,
little gas blaster.
Chekhov's gaslighter.
Yeah, that stands out to me, I think, more than anyone else, because everyone else, I feel like we kind of understand most of their motivations at this point.
Other than Curly, who just like now didn't exist and now is like, I want to be number one. But I guess if you've got a daddy complex and you're like, I want to be daddy's favorite, I guess that might be what she's going for, because these kids can't go home and they don't have their parents anymore.
Yeah, I think Curly is going to be a wrench down the line, like fighting against Wendy. I feel like she's going to step in and try to do something better.
And did Wendy actually go down the hallway and get into the room where Kirsch was experimenting or dissecting? Because she goes in there, we see her go in there, we see the doors open, and then she collapses and nobody reacts. Nobody turns around, nobody hears anything, and then we see her just laying on the floor, which I can't tell if that's the lab, if that's where she woke up, got off the table, if that's her room, because they turned around, saw her, and went, okay, cool, and just dragged her back to her room, which doesn't make any sense. So I'm not 100% sure she actually went there.
Yeah, or if that was like a dream sequence. That was wild, because it's the first time that it seems like the show's really messing with us. It's not like what we see might not be what's happening, whereas everything else is like, yeah, this is happening. So episode 3 gives me hope in some ways. There's like, I thought the Curly thing popping in finally was a weird decision. But I think I like where kind of the show is going. I think, we're about we're an hour and a half into this. Is there anything in particular that you want to see happen?
Not really. Just a unique storyline that's believably within the franchise, because you are a precursor in a lot of ways, prequel to the whole franchise outside of Prometheus and Alien Covenant, which in both of those movies there are things that I enjoy, and then there's also things that I really don't enjoy in both of those films. And they both get scrutiny, whether you feel that they deserve it or not. And I think for some, and to a degree, that they don't fit as well in the franchise of where we were thought the franchise should be. And I'm just hoping that, hey, this is a fun start to it that ends with Weyland-Yutani and, you know, maybe the other companies going, hey, there's these things out there, and this is why the company is so invested in finding them. Why xenomorphs over the other alien species, I don't know. But I would think that we don't have a bunch of xenomorphs running around on planet Earth in the 21-22s during the Alien movie franchise, because that would kind of go against everything that we've known, especially where, I mean, the Marines are kind of aware of xenomorphs come aliens, but they are also very well unprepared at the start of that film. So I don't think the franchise has it widely known that, hey, there's these horrible things out there, and this is how they react and behave. Because even Bishop is confused and has to study them in the movie to learn about them.
Yeah. I think, so hybrids, this is the first that we've seen of them. Like hybrids, it's either you're human or you're not.
Yeah, human or synthetic has been the two that we've seen.
Yeah, so I kind of hope that this series explains what happened there, because they're saying it's 3 big powers, but only 2 of those exist like outside of this particular series. So I think I want not exactly like David, but you know, hubris nonetheless, of Kirsch kind of overthrowing whatever Cavalier is working on, you know, becoming the ruination of that. And like, that's the reason why we never see any hybrids anywhere else in the franchise. You know, that could very well mean that all these kids have horrible deaths, which I think would be great. But yeah, I honestly want to see like the ruination of Prodigy, because I feel like we have to. They don't exist elsewhere. If they're allowed, barring living and hiding, if they're allowed to live, the children, then something's missing in the franchise that's adding something that doesn't exist elsewhere, that doesn't stretch into the remainder of the world.
That's why I want it to make sense. I don't want you to just create this whole new thing and they go, yep, you never hear from it again in the franchise.
Yeah.
Well, why not? Why don't we ever hear about this? Why is it? And maybe it's just because Weyland-Yutani was the one fixated on harnessing the ultimate weapon, you know, the ultimate life form, and that's why. But I don't know.
So we'll see where it goes. I think my main complaint so far that does kind of travel through each episode is it's too bright. We get a whole lot of Xeno, and it's like you can always see him when he's in the background. It seems like it's too obvious, and it is better than what I normally think of when I think of TV lighting, but it's still not film grade lighting. Like, it's in between the two of them. And it's like, man, I wasn't super happy with how many behind the scenes things, little instances in episode 2, because it felt a little over the top. Like it was going on too much to remain creepy. But yeah, we get a lot of xenomorph, but it's so bright everywhere that it's kind of like
it's
almost
also
detracting.
Yeah, I hear that, but also I also take this as you and I are used to a film where you've got 2 hours to have this danger. Maybe you don't know what this danger is, but it's killing people. Okay, well, we need to run from danger. Okay, we need to, rearm ourselves and figure this out. Okay, now we have to beat danger and triumph, and then you're done in 2 hours. Like, that doesn't work over a 8-hour period. That will not work. So the alien is going to be used differently in the series. We are obviously going to be getting more of the xenomorphs and other alien types. And it doesn't bother me that much, but I do agree that it's like when we play Fireteam Elite or any of the old original movies, it's like it is dark. And there are dark sections in the series, but I get what you're saying. It could be a little bit more creepier and, I don't know what the right word would be, but definitely darken it down a little bit and make it a little bit more ominous.
Yeah. If there's a plus, I like that they are using a practical Xeno. I
do enjoy that. There's been a couple shots where I've gone, doesn't look the best, but I am a sucker for practical effect. I really like them. I'd rather that they use them than full CGI. Use CGI where you need to. Like a little,
because the getting yoinked out of the trailer was CGI, but they did add the scene where it's like he gets poked and then yoinked, and then it's a side shot of the Xeno watching him fly out, but that's a real tail that's already been pulled out of him.
That's him on a wire, like flying backwards.
Yeah, so that I like. It's an assist. I'm totally down for the assist, but yeah. So digging it so far. I'm looking forward to the next 5 episodes. So hopefully for the next maybe 5-ish weeks, we'll have episodes coming out on this, because the plan is to release an episode a week on this, so the future ones will be a little bit shorter. We'll see.
I had to play catch up.
Yeah, I had to play catch up and introductions, but we'll see how well the plans go. Plans do be doing things. So until the next one, Zach, where can people find you?
Typically, you can find us over at the Neatcast, where you can also find Corey. Over this past week, he joined us for a Wild Reality episode. A little bit different than what we do. We're normally I'll say comedy in quotations, podcast. But Corey joined us for a little bit more serious talk for that is outside our regular realm, where we talked. It was kind of like, not necessarily guardian angels, but just having perhaps something out there watching over you and having those moments of, that could have been me dead there, but I guess not. So that's where I normally am. And also, we wrapped up Podcasters Assemble with Back to the Future, where you also were. Talking about the series, and I'm sure there's something else. I help out with Super Switch Club, going through Earthbound. Never played it, but I read the manual. I don't know. Eric has me do weird things.
And yeah, with me, like you said, Neatcast, they just released that episode yesterday as of this recording. And Podcasters Assemble, which right now hiatus isn't the right word. We just don't have anything that we're doing. We're plans.
We're back in Disassembled, where we try to do monthly releases. I do have a bonus episode I have to edit where we talk about the different parts of the Back to the Future franchise, the comics, the shorts, the cartoon, the game, so on and so forth. And then Eric and I will be putting together the Halloween episode, the Christmas episode, some other ones. A milestone episode. I think we're going to tackle Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, because that
35 years.
35, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've got And then we'll figure out what the next season will be, and we'll tell everybody about that.
Nice. All right. Well, if you want to reach out to me, social media, Twinbee Podcast. Email is twinbeepodcast@gmail.com. Yeah. If you have any opinions on this, you can send me a little bite. I will move that link up higher in the show note description, maybe.
Just a little dibble.
Just a little bite. Yeah.
A little, just a pinch.
But yeah, if you're watching the series, hit me up on social media or through the podcast or email. Let me know what you think. Otherwise, we should be back in a week. Good luck us for making that happen.
I'll try not to be sick next week. So yeah. I'll be more into it. It'll be great.
Yeah. All right. But for now, yeah, we out. Thanks, Zach.
Bye.
Bye.